Trevor, we're
How are
recording.
you? Says you're recording.
I'm doing good.
Good.
How are you doing during this lockdown?
Yeah, strange times. I'm still working, so yeah, but it's very, very strange times for everyone at the moment. Scary times.
Trevor, you say you're still working. What do you do for work?
I work at the O2 Arena in London, but at the moment with the NHS have taken it over as an NHS COVID training school. So basically, the doctors and nurses come here, do ventilation training before going on to other hospitals.
Wow, that's good. You're doing a good thing. But Trevor, I didn't know your band got back together, so I was picturing you with all long hair and crimped hair.
That was a long, long time ago.
With all crimped hair and stuff, like very long with crimped hair. Wow. Trevor, you also we exchanged an email a little bit, and you told me that on the email your first punk gig with Epileptics and Poison Girls and Crass, that was your first.
That was the very, very first gig that I went to. Yeah, very first punk gig. Luckily, I grew up with friends that were in a band called Anti-Establishment, and they were a bit older than me.
I heard Anti-Establishment. Yes.
Yeah. So Nick the drummer and Gavin the singer sort of took me under their wing a little bit and took me to lots of gigs. So yeah, the first band I ever see play live was the Epileptics, followed by Poison Girls and followed by Crass, and after that I never turned back. Yeah, that was it. I was hooked. So yeah, it was a good initiation into punk.
And for those who doesn't know, Epileptics was before Flux of Pink Indians.
That's right. Yeah. A couple of years prior. In my opinion, I think the Epileptics were probably a better band than Flux, but that's just my opinion. Live, they were fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Since this was your first punk show, what year was this, and what was so different about this show?
I was still at school, so I was probably 14, something like that. So a long time ago. It was just
1982.
Something like that. Yeah. No, younger than long before that, Jay. You're trying to get my age out of me, man.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Just walking into a venue and seeing all the Crass banners everywhere, all the Poison Girls banners. It was just a Crass gig, and I went on to see him quite a few times after that. I used to follow him around. It wasn't just a gig; it was an event. You know, it was like almost going to a rally. It was an experience. Just for everyone to see Crass, they know what I'm talking about. It was just one of those things that you had to be at. It was amazing. Those were the early gigs. I mean, the later gigs always had trouble with skinheads and that type of, well, the right wing skinheads, the troublesome ones. But the early days were fantastic, and they played some great venues like little village halls, stuff like that. Places where you wouldn't think they'd play, they played, which was brilliant.
When you said rallies, is it because of the banners, and was there literatures and stalls and
literature?
Everything?
Yeah, the banners, video screens. It was just not just only a sound experience. It was visual as well. Everything was visual, from handouts before you even got into the venue to the whole thing. It was just, I mean, I don't know if you've heard any of the Crass rehearsal tapes, but literally they were shit hot. They were like, they rehearsed, and they're one of the finest bands I've seen live, definitely.
Wow. I've been hearing a lot about these early Crass shows, right wings coming. Is it because everybody was a pacifist back then? Do you think that's why there was all these troubles? People didn't fight back?
Yeah, I think it was just seen as an easy target. I mean, I've been to a couple of Crass gigs when it's probably, I don't know, 300 or 400 punks and 5 or 6 right wing skinheads. Wow. And they took over the venue. It was just crazy. No one sort of like wanted to fight back. Crass at the time were a little bit sort of undecided whether they should fight back or not. Steve was quite militant more than the others, I think. But I think the tide turned once conflict came on the scene, and they took a more active role in fighting back, which is great. You know, violence is never good, but it's the only thing some people understand at that level, unfortunately.
Wow, I'm glad you're bringing this up like a historical lesson. There are 6 right wing and there's 300.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was just absolutely crazy. And you know, that's as I say, that's the good thing that conflict brought with the second wave. Just that, you know, we're not going to take this shit anymore, and we're going to fight back, which is great.
Right. I mean, even we could remove them non-violently. 300 just tackle them and push them out.
Exactly. You know, exactly. Looking back, you just think it's crazy, but that's how it was. Yeah.
And then you mentioned about Discharge and Antisect playing together. That you saw Discharge when they were in prime.
Yes, I see. That was at the Zigzag Club with Antisect supporting, and that was an amazing gig. That was a huge gig, and I remember Antisect coming on, and they were like nothing like the Antisect. You've heard the first demos. They were like Discharge, souped up, and they were amazing. And I remember everyone walking away from that venue going, "Who the fuck are Antisect? They're brilliant." You know what I mean? They were just amazing. Great gig, fantastic gig. You know, I've seen Discharge many times, but that's probably one of the better times.
Was that when Pete was they had one vocalist and Antisect when you saw them, or 2 vocalists?
Yeah, no, I think they just had one vocalist. Yeah, they were pretty much like Discharge. They just had one vocalist, I think. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but I remember it being a fantastic gig. It was packed. It was packed in there.
So after all these gigs, and later on, you formed the band Stone the Crowz.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What year was this demo tape?
Well, I think that's early 80s, maybe 82, 83, maybe. Sometime around that. We've done 2 demos, and I think that's the second one. Yeah, Suffer Little Children demo. Right. So we just put that together. Steve Beattie, the drummer, who went on to release the Antisect single, Out From the Void, he ran Endangered Music. So Steve was the driving force of Stone the Crowz. You know, I wrote the lyrics and turned up for the gigs, but without Steve, we wouldn't have got the demos done or gigs. I mean, we didn't do that many gigs, but we played with the Subhumans, Liberty, Exit Stance, you know, all the bands back in them days. So yeah, it was a good period.
Because when I first heard Stone the Crowz, I used to have this album.
The Conflict album.
Yeah, We Won't Be Your Fucking Poor. But then what people don't know is it was a fold out.
That's right.
Fold out, and all the different bands had collages. And I don't know, it's been so many years I haven't heard that album, but it was like an intro. You were saying something like, what were you saying? Slaughtering animals, or what were you saying? I forgot.
Yeah, it was. I think the track is called Skin Deep on there. I think. It's an infamous track because at the end I think we sing animals are not ours to eat, and it sounds like tweet, 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 and that was the running joke. You know, but it was. We were very. Couple of band members were vegan, the rest of us were vegetarians. Was really into animal rights back in the day. Yeah, Hunt Sabin, that kind of stuff. Right,
but the introduction. What were you saying before the slaughtering animals?
The slaughter of animals is still legal, I think. Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's because of the British accent. It was kind of hard to understand.
London accent.
Yes, London accent. Has your views stayed the same on animal rights, veganism, vegetarianism, and everything, or has it changed?
Yeah. I've stayed vegetarian, and in the last 6 weeks, I've turned a bit longer than that now. I've turned vegan as well. So yeah, I've stayed vegetarian all the way through. So yeah,
that is awesome. Is it crazy how much things have changed now?
Do you know what? Being vegetarian back in the late 70s, it was almost impossible, and now there's vegan. I mean, I think even McDonald's are doing vegan. Yes. But why you'd go to McDonald's to get a vegan burger, I don't know. But Yeah, I mean the options are massive now, aren't they? It's just crazy. If you look back to what you used to have to do to even be veggie, and now it's everywhere, which is great. It's fantastic.
I mean, imagine in the 80s, you walk into a store and you just grab the boxes, a little word vegan.
Yeah.
We would save that box. We would never throw it away because we go, wow, this is vegan on the box. We would save it. But now, like, even like hairspray says cruelty-free, not tested on animals logo. Just like amazing and stuff.
Yeah, back in the day, you used to have to go and find special stores to go and get all that kind of stuff. Now it's in pretty much all the main supermarkets everywhere, which is fantastic. So, you know, it's easy to make that choice, certainly now.
Okay, back to Stone the Crowz. What is this one right here? I found this online.
That's the first demo. Yeah, that's the first demo. That's I don't know where we got the picture from, some history book or something. Yeah, that's the first. So we've done 2 demos.
Is this a Sub for Little Children cassette tape?
No, that's the first demo.
Oh, and this is a Sub for Little Children cassette tape.
Yeah, that's the vinyl we put out a couple of years ago. The compilation. It's got all the demo tracks on it. So Steve put that out.
On vinyl?
Yeah, it's vinyl and CD. Came out 2 years ago. Yeah, it's a really good package. Again, Steve, the old drummer, put it all together and put it out.
Interesting. So, what label is this on?
I think it's on, I'm not sure, but it's distributed by Plastic Head. It came out about 2 years ago. So it's a gatefold. It's really nice. It's got all the lyrics with it. And if you buy the vinyl, you get the CD, a booklet, and everything. It's a really good package. He done a great job on it. Fantastic job.
Wow.
He remastered all the tracks as well. So yeah, they sound good.
In the old days, did you have a lot of pen pals and swap cassette tapes and compilations?
Yeah, that was a massive part of the scene. Like back in the day when you wanted a tape, you sort of like now everything's instant. Everything's like, you know, I tell my children, like if you used to take a photo, you used to wait 2 weeks for it to come back from the developers. Now everything's instant. So back in the day, you know, you used to write your letters, put your soap across your stamps, send it off, and you know, you'd wait for the postman to send your tape back. It was a real big thing in them days, and it took a lot of effort to do it, but that was the passion that everyone had to make that scene work. So yeah, it was great getting a compilation tape through and not knowing what was on there. It was brilliant.
I used to have pen pals in the 80s from England, but funny thing is all the English punk, they keep telling me to send their stamp back. And I was going to send the stamp back. I cut it out, but I was telling the stamp, it was all sticky. And
that's right. Yeah.
Put it in the water and then they dry it so all the ink will come out.
Redo it again.
It was so expensive back then.
The problem is the stamp used to end up being about that thick because it had like 20 envelopes stuck on the back of it. You know what I mean? No, we all used to do it. We always used to save stamps. In the UK.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember in the 80s when we made compilation tape, just to make a 60-minute compilation tape would take about 2 to 3 hours because we play, record, play.
Yeah.
Like many hours to make.
And then you get to the last track, and then the tape would get caught in the tape recorder, and all the tape would come out, and you go, "Oh my god!" Or you sit there with a pencil rewinding it. See, those are the good old days.
Yes. And then I have a question about this picture. Is this Stone the Crowz?
Yeah, that's Stone the Crowz. Yeah, that's me and Matt on bass. Yeah, Matt went on to join Axegrinder.
That hair right there, that's a huge mohawk you have.
Yeah.
What do you use to put up that hair like that?
I think we used absolutely it was trial and error. I think in them days I used to use floor polish. Yeah, just floor polish, and just used to get it and just wait for it to set. Yeah.
And just blow dry it?
Yeah, just hang upside down and blow dry it. And then when you go to sleep at night, you train yourself to wake up and turn your head, and so you don't muck it up. Yeah.
So I did an interview a couple of days ago with Ron for Final Conflict, and he gave me information about the crossover in America with metal and punk. Now, I want to know about UK. How did everything start going heavier and all the punk started playing heavy, like metal stuff and all that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Lego from Deviated Instinct said it the best. He said, you know, it was punks trying to play metal, but because we wasn't very good, that's how it came out, which is pretty much the best description I've heard of crust and metal punk from here. I suppose the beginning for us was like English bands like Motorhead, obviously. Venom played a massive part. No one really talks about Venom, but you know, that when Welcome to Hell and Black Metal came out, they were huge albums and massive influences. I think then bands like Voivod started visiting the UK. Voivod were a huge influence here. Slayer, Exodus, and then I suppose, you know, there's a few key albums that sort of crossed over. So you know, obviously had the Antisect single, Out from the Void, which was a huge influence. You had Amoebics doing Arise, which was very metal influenced. Anti-System, A Look at Life, which is a fantastic track and doesn't get the credit it should get. You know, that has a massive influence. And then you also had Concrete Socks with Your Turn Next, which people seem to forget that album, which was, you know, a massively influenced by metal. So I think people were just, me personally, I got a little fed up with the Anarcho scene. I loved all the politics and everything, but it just sort of, you know, once Icons had sort of called it a day. I was a huge Icons fan. That was it for me. So, and I think people just wanted to play more aggressive music. So when we started to go and see bands like Voivod, Exodus, them type of bands, Celtic Frost were huge here as well. Then obviously you started to want to sort of copy those bands or try to sound like them. You're never going to achieve it because their musicianship was fantastic, and people like us were four little punks just trying our hand at it, you know. Yeah, Hell Bastard as well, you know, they were a massive, one of the first bringing out Ripper Crust. That was a huge influence on people as well.
Who was the first band who released it with a crossover?
In the UK?
Yes.
I'd probably say, well, I probably got this wrong, but I'd probably say Antisect were one of the first with Out from the Void EP. I think that was the one that took everyone by surprise. Maybe Concrete Socks, Your Turn Next came, maybe was a little bit in front of it, or maybe a little bit behind, I'm not sure, but it was definitely the Antisect single that turned everyone onto that metal punk crossover, definitely.
Yes. That was the crossover with the crust sound and everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then there was a slight metal and punk stuff. A little bit before that, I guess it was like Discharge, Not Her Majesty.
Oh, yeah.
Some guitar. That was more classic metals. Metal.
Yeah.
Then English Dog, To the End of the Earth.
Yeah, English Dogs. Yeah, that's
crazy guitar. Well, not heavy, but like crazy guitar, heavy metal guitar solos. Yeah. That stuff.
I think those bands were few and far between because, again, if you were lucky enough to have a great musician in your band at that time, then they could turn their hand to playing metal riffs and great solos. Not many of the punk bands had those people in their ranks, you know.
Yes, and earlier you were mentioning Deviated Instinct. I read an old interview from Zine. Is it true back then you could smell them from like far away because their pants were so fucking dirty? Is that true?
We've done quite a few gigs with Deviated Instinct back in the day.
Were they really smelly, or is that a joke?
I can't remember them being so, but to be honest, the crust scene was pretty made up of the great unwashed. So they were probably just four people in amongst hundreds of different people, you know. So I think the worst guy, I don't mean that, but there was a band called Gut Rot who our drummer used to play in.
Yes,
that singer Stevie was probably one of the worst I've seen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, his arms were just like black with filth. There's some pictures on the internet. If you look him up, you can literally see the dirt up his arms. Yeah.
I used to get all the zines in the old days, all the collages and photos, and everyone looked so fucking dirty with the hair not washed, so it automatically dreads and clothes.
Yeah.
No one had that problem with bugs or like lice on the hair or some kind of skin disease for not changing pants or stuff.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, within the squats there probably was, but yeah, we never. Yeah, we washed quite regularly, so we were like the clean boys of the scene. But yeah, not that I know of. I'm sure there was, but not that I know of. Yeah.
Oh, since you mentioned you were the clean boys in the scene, I'm gonna show you this photo, but let me show it to the Instagram first. I want you to tell me the story behind this photo right here.
Yeah. So
there's long hair, but this one member has a clean, like new, really clean haircut. And we were all
so we got a lot of flack for that photo because I think we were one of the first like crust punk bands to have a posed color photo on their album, and we've always gone against the grain. If someone says you can't do that, we just say fuck it, we can, and we always have. You know what I mean? But yeah, Darren was that's the guy with the clean haircut, and I'm sure he's listening in. So I'll be careful what I say. But Darren was the squatter in the band who lived and breathed it. He took lots of substances on top of quite a lot of drinking as well, and so it ended up. I think he was high on drugs. I think he went home one night, got into his bed, but he was in someone else's house. Literally ended up in some stranger's house. Obviously, the police were called out on him, and I think he had to go to court, so that's why he had dreadlocks and everything. He cut all his hair off to look good in court. And I think that's the reason he looks so smart in them. If we'd have took it a couple of weeks earlier, he wouldn't have looked like that. That's for sure. And I think in court he was either told to clean up and go home and live with his parents for a while to get clean, which is probably the best thing that ever happened to him. I'm sure he'd agree. But yeah, that's why he looks. Everyone remarks on that saying, "Who's the cute, really clean guy in the background?" And it's like, yeah, if you really knew him, you'd have a different opinion.
In the old days, my friends and I, when we were looking at the record, we go, "Guy looks like he doesn't belong in the band."
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. And he's just crept into the side of the photo. He's just photo bombed it. Yeah, he doesn't look like he belongs in that at all, does he?
All right. Tell me the story behind this album. Who was the artist? This is amazing art.
So Jeff from Carcass, Jeff Walker.
Oh,
so
Carcass?
From Carcass. Yeah, Jeff done all the artwork. He done the painting on the front. So we asked him to do a painting for the front, and we told him the feel that we wanted. We didn't give him much of a description. We told him what a Serpent Man was. He came back with that, and he also came back with the inner gatefold artwork, the black and white skull, everything.
With the head sticking and all that.
Everything. He done the lot. Yeah, I was a big fan. He used to do a lot of artwork for a fanzine called Phoenix Militia, and it was all this like really fine dot artwork, really, and it was amazing. So that's why we've got him on board, and he ended up doing the whole artwork for the album, which was fantastic. And it's still on a lot of t-shirts these days, which is very humbling. But yeah, I think he charged us £200 for the whole lot, which I think we still owe him. I think 36 years later, I don't know if we ever paid him. I'm sure Jeff would tell me otherwise if we did. But yeah, so he done the whole lot, which was fantastic.
I haven't seen your album or touched your album for many, many years because I don't have albums anymore. But if I remember correctly, was that art paint or airbrushed?
I think the front cover was an oil painting, and then the rest I think was all just ink pen, all dotted ink pen. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us some of those shows back then. We're doing shows with Electro Hippies and Deviated Instinct and all these bands.
Yeah, so we done a lot of benefits. Most of our gigs were benefits. done a lot of festivals. So Darren squatted a place called the Cardboard Box, which is quite infamous within the crust scene in London. So he lived there with the rest of Gut Rot. So there's quite a lot of festivals. Deviated Instinct, Ripcord. It's funny because Lee Dorian from Napalm Death, he done our very first review in a fanzine. So that was one of our first gigs was in the Cardboard Box, and Lee Dorian done our first ever review, which is crazy since it's like come full circle, and we released the last album on his label. So it's just weird how things go. So yeah, we played with lots of bands, Hell Bastard, Concrete Socks, Electro Hippies, which was our last gig, first time around with those guys. Godflesh, we played with Godflesh. Who else did we play? All the bands back in the day, Cerebral Fix. Yeah, we done a gig at Christmas called Christmas on Earth, which was an all day, and pretty much every band out of that crust scene played that day. It was a great scene back then. Yeah, really good.
See, what I'm confused about in the 80s, if we mention the word crust, because some of our Long Beach friends went to England and brought all the cassette tapes and stuff. But in the 80s, if you mention the word crust, you think about fucking dirty dreadlocks, vegetarianism. But then later on in the 90s, if you mention the word crust punk, people don't mention vegetarian. The only thing to mention is train hoppers or asking for spare change, or it just.
Oh really?
Yeah, it turned a little different in America because there was a lot of train hoppers and stuff. That's how they pure as crust punk. They didn't think about being vegetarian or cider drinking political punk rock.
Oh really?
That was
that's crazy.
Train hoppers, travelers,
Yeah. I've never heard of that definition from the States. That's interesting. Yeah, the crust scene was fueled by alcohol, drugs. It was very different to the anarcho scene. Personally, the anarcho scene was very driven by direct action, that kind of thing, and it was almost, and we still got involved in direct action and stuff like that, but it was almost like the anarcho scene was very serious. And the crust scene was more like, well, let's have a bit of fun now. Let's have a drink. Let's do a gig. It was almost like, do you know what I mean? Letting your hair down a little bit, sort of like after all those years of like being very serious, sort of thing. Our messages were still serious, but But
the crust scene, they took the music more seriously, right? They took the music more seriously. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Because it got more heavier, and actually they were playing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think Napalm Death set the when they released their first two albums, that was like, whoa, what I mean? This is like as heavy as it sort of can get back then, it was crazy. And
you were on Peaceville Records, right?
Yeah, we were on Peaceville. Yeah, Rise came out on Peaceville. Yeah.
Hammy was that Hammy from Civilized Society?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Is Hammy still in the new Civilized Society or no?
No, he's not in them now. No, I think he sold up Peaceville, didn't he? And I think he's got maybe a music distribution company now. I'm not sure. I think he's pretty much retired from that kind of stuff. I could be wrong. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of years, so yeah.
So Peaceville label's just gone then, huh?
I think he sold it off. He sold it off to, if I'm right, did it get sold off to Music for Nations or someone like that? Yeah.
I don't know, because I was shocked. Long time ago, Doom put out an album. I think it was Doom. I'm not sure. I don't know what band it was. It was against, is this Fuck Peaceville or something?
Peaceville, yeah.
Was that Doom? Is that correct? Was it Doom who put that out, or was it some other?
It was Doom. Yeah, it was Doom.
Oh. Do you know what happened? Is it because he sold it to another person, or what?
I don't know. I mean, I've never really spoke to Doom much, so I don't know what happened there. I think, Peaceville never done us personally. Peaceville were great with us. They allowed us to remix the album 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
He put up his own money to release the album. We could have sold 1 copy as far as he was concerned, So I don't know what the beef is, what other bands had with him, but he always treated us really well. He always paid us our royalties on time. So, yeah, Yeah, we never had a crossword with Peaceville, to be honest with you.
Before I ask more questions, you can't see it, but I have my phone on my other phone up here with the stand.
Yeah, no worries.
And more bondage. Oh, actually, it says, did Axegrinder ever try to use blast during all the napalm and heavyweight?
Did we ever try to use blast beats?
Yeah.
No, I don't think we ever did. I think our first drummer, who was on Grind the Enemy, wasn't that great a drummer. I think we'd done a few fast sections, didn't really work. And then when Darren joined, who was obviously a fantastic drummer, he'd sort of done a lot of that with Gut Rot, his previous band. So I think everyone was speeding up and everyone was getting faster off the back of Napalm Death. And we sort of made a conscious decision that we wanted to go slower, mainly influenced by Amoebics. We've never hidden the fact that we are massive Amoebics fans. You know, we couldn't really deny it, could we? So I think we've done a couple of tracks way back when, maybe live on the squat tapes, maybe when there's a couple of fast sections. But I don't think we've ever experimented with blast beats. Probably not. No.
Slower but heavier, right? It was really heavy.
Yeah.
Who is Steve Axegrinder on Instagram? Just wondering.
Steve is a guitarist. What's he say? Is he making a joke?
No. He's just on there. He's just on there. Just saying hello. Hey, so on the Axegrinder, the recording, was it guitar overdub like a couple times or no?
Yeah, I think Steve went back. We didn't get long in the studio. I think we had 3 days total to do that album. Most of the days were Hammy was great at making homebrew beer. So literally we made that album on homebrew and hot knifing in the morning, some members. God knows how we even came out of that studio after 3 days with anything, to be honest with you. It was I think Steve done 2 or 3 maybe in the solos, and that was about it. Time was against us, so we literally, Darren recorded his drums downstairs and we couldn't get a good snare beat. So not a lot of people know, but the snare's taken off of a Janet Jackson song. So it's a sample of a Janet Jackson song.
Are you joking, right?
No, we're not joking. No. So it's Darren playing it, but it's triggers a Janet Jackson snare. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the connection between us and Janet Jackson.
When the Axegrinder album came out, how were the fans to react as Stone the Crowz fans? Did they like it or no? I think
a few people liked it, but I think there was pretty much a clear division between the old Anarcho punks and you know, the more heavier stuff. I know people that absolutely love Stone the Crowz and hate Axegrinder, and vice versa, which is fine, you know. So yeah, it took a while. It wasn't a roaring success when it first came out. It was a bit of a slow burner, you know. When we came out, I think Steve said when we came out the studio, who's going to remember this album in like a year's time? And here we are, 36 years later, still talking about it, you know. So for 4 scruffy punks, we must have done something okay-ish, you know.
This is gonna sound really funny, but like in the late 80s, the reason a lot of my friends and we bought the album was because of the cover, the back. We looked at the back, oh cool, fucking crust band with all crimped hair, long hair. Because of the photo, we bought it and stuff. That's his reason. Did you tour after that? Tell us some of your tour stories.
We didn't do much tour. We'd done a few gigs after that. It took a long time to come out on Peaceville. I think it took about a year after we recorded it to come out. I think when you do an album, yeah, I think so. Wow. Which is the normal really. But when you're in a band, you think you're going to record it one weekend, it's going to be out the next, but you don't realise there's a whole process in between. So yeah, we've done some great gigs after that. We played one of the best gigs we've done was with Bolt Thrower. That was an amazing gig. Amazing people. Love Bolt Thrower. They're great gigging partners. Yeah, as I say, we played with Hell Bastard a few times, who are great guys as well. Antisect, we supported Antisect. Yeah, just too many gigs to mention. Concrete Socks were our touring partners for a long time. Gut Rot as well.
Yeah.
So Darren used to play 2 sets. He used to play a set with Gut Rot and then play with us. And I think one night he'd done three sets, played with us, another band, and Gut Rot. So like, yeah.
I love Concrete Sock's first album. It's
Your
amazing.
turn next.
Yes. Les and Vic from Concrete Sock. I remember being friends with them on Facebook, but did they deactivated their account? I couldn't find them.
I don't know. I think I was friends with Les for a while on Facebook, but without going into personal things, I think he had some personal problems, and I think he took himself off of Facebook, I think. So, yeah.
The last time actually I seen Les was in 1993 or 94 when he was playing second guitar for Brukers. They came to America.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but I'm going to ask you more questions.
Yeah, sure.
My friend Jacoby have a question. He says, coming from Anarcho, this is from Jacoby, from beginning of that dancing, coming from Anarcho roots with Stone the Crowz, how did the progression take place to explore heavier and more metallic sounds in Tyrants of Hate, which would become Axegrinder?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. So at the end of Stone the Crowz, after we released the second album, the guitarist, Trev, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, him and Steve wanted to go a lot heavier, sort of go a lot more metallic sounding, more like the Anti-System, Look at Life type of stuff. And at the time, I was really against it. I was like, no, we should stay doing the Anarcho, punk stuff. And it sort of put a divide down the band, really. So. And at the time, I think we'd done one of our last, well, it was the last gig we'd done supporting Liberty, and there was a band supporting underneath called the Prudons, who were originally, you know the band The Mob?
The Mob, yes.
Yeah, they were like The Mob. They were fantastic, really melodic, slow, great. But the next time I see him, Steve had joined, Steve Axegrinder, and he just like literally just blasted over the top of these mob songs and just ruined them. It was just way too heavy, And I just thought, what great riffs and stuff like that. Just not good for the Prudons, but maybe we could do something together. I was totally fed up with Stone the Crowz, so I think that night I sat with Steve, and we agreed that Prudons wasn't for him, Stone the Crowz wasn't for me anymore, and I think Matt came across that night, and we decided to put Tyrants of Hate together. But I think looking back, people seem to think Tyrants of Hate was quite a metal band, but we really wasn't. We was more punk-driven, sort of Icons of Filth type stuff. We had a little bit of metal influence, but not really. And it goes back to so we were listening to all that type of stuff, and it just goes back to that influence that we spoke about earlier. So Steve's a massive Black Sabbath fan, huge Black Sabbath fan. And he's tried to get a few Black Sabbath riffs past me in the past. I'm not a Sabbath fan at all. Sorry, but I'm not. And that's how we just sort of got heavier and heavier and heavier, and listening to stuff, like I say, like Concrete Socks, Celtic Frost, Antisect, Amoebics, all those type of bands. So that's how we ended up just getting heavier and heavier.
That's cool. David Insurrection has 2 questions. With expectation high for the follow-up to Rise of Serpent Men, how did you approach the writing of Satari?
It's weird because we get asked this quite a lot, and people think there's this like mythical Rise is some kind of great album, which we feel humble that people still like it all these years on. But for the band, it was just an album that we'd done 37 years ago. So we didn't have any sort of like any expectations on ourselves to do better than Rise or anything. One thing that me and Steve were very adamant on, we didn't want to do Rise 2. It was 37 years later, and I think if you've not learned anything in 37 years and you're saying the same thing, I think you've missed out on a huge part of life. Me and Steve met up in the 90s, I think early 90s or mid 90s, and talked about putting the band together again. And I think we met in a pub, and it just didn't feel right. We were like, just didn't feel right at that time. And then Steve Steve's been in bands all the way through. He's been in a few great bands, like doing electronic dance music with like heavy guitars, like Prodigy type sort of stuff. And he just sent me a couple of tracks one day that he'd wrote and said, "This isn't right for my other band. Do you think we could maybe do a couple of Axegrinder tracks?" And I think 2 tracks turned into like 6 or 7 tracks. We were originally going to do an EP, and then we decided we might as well do the album. So that's how it. But at the time, we purposely was not listening to anything. We weren't listening to any other bands. We literally shut ourselves away from listening to anything. So yeah, we weren't really influenced at all.
Wait, so Axegrinder put out another album?
Yes, Satori came out.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it came out 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, David, other question is, did you feel that it was important not to be influenced by people's expectations and instead of produce the album you wanted to make?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we definitely didn't want to make Rise 2. That could have been really easy. We could have made Rise 2, but that wouldn't have made us happy. It might have made other people happy, but as I say, you know, I think the same with Antisect. Antisect could have made In Darkness again easily, but you know, what's the point of repeating yourself 40 years on? There's just no point in it, you know. And I know they got a lot of derision for the album they put out, but I thought it was a great album, and it reflected how they feel now, which is, as long as it reflects what you're truly feeling, that's all that matters. You know, if you put an album out that pleases everyone, but you don't feel it in your heart, that's when you're cheating people, you know. That's when you're cheating people, not the other way around. So yeah, so we had no real expectations. We knew we didn't want to do the skull and crossbones covers and the black and white covers. And it's a funny story, we met Lee Dorian in the pub to discuss the album, and we took a mock-up of the artwork, and it was like, I don't know if you've seen the front cover, but it's literally a pink paint, so it's pink cover basically, which was not what you'd be associated with crust normally, you know. And Lee thought it was a beer mat and put his pint of beer on it. It was only till we told him, like, that's the artwork for the album cover, and he was like, what? You know what I mean? So, and we've always been that type of band that if you tell us we can't do something because it's in the punk rules, we'll make sure that we will go the other way and do what we want, you know, because that's what punk is about, you know, not having to follow the rules or whatever. So yeah, so we had no pressure on us or expectation. We just knew that if we done it from the heart, that would be the way to go. Okay.
Yeah, David said, I thought you did a great job. Finally, how did you end up releasing it through Rise Above?
Yeah, so we was going to do it DIY. We always talked about doing it DIY over the internet or through Bandcamp or anything. And then I was on holiday in Spain, and Lee Dorian contacted me out of the blue and said, "Oh, I've got a master of an album I'm just about to put out. I'll show you mine if you show me your sort of type of thing." So he sent me over this album that he was about to put out, and then I sent him like a copy of Satori, and he just wrote back and said, "I'll put it out on Rise." And literally, yeah, we didn't have to think about it, you know. It was, and Lee's been great and has been great. He didn't like some of the decisions we made. He's not a fan of the front cover, but he let us do what we want, and we couldn't ask for any more from Rise. They've been great.
Right. I don't know if this is true or not. A long time ago, I think it was like 20 years ago, I was asking my friend, "Hey, whatever happened to the Axegrinder?" I don't know if this is a rumor or not. Somebody told me that you were embarrassed of it. You have nothing to do with it and stuff. Is that true or just a rumor?
No, I just think I, like a lot of people, I just went through a period where I just thought, you know, I think what you said about earlier, you know, you just get burnt out by it all. And I just thought, oh, you know what, it's time to stop now. I've had a great time, you know. I just wanted to get some, you know, get somewhere decent to live, get a sort of like a decent job, earn some money, and you know. But no, I was never really embarrassed about it. If someone asked me about it, I'd say yes, I was in that band, but I didn't go out of my way to talk about it or anything. Yeah, so No, absolutely. Yeah, never embarrassed about it.
I really like this logo.
Yeah, that's Jeff done that as well. Yeah, it's a great logo.
So what year did Axegrinder break up in the 80s?
I think we broke up probably, I think, tail end of 89, maybe. Yeah.
89.
Yeah, not long after the album came out, really. Yeah, we've done a few gigs after, and that was about it. Yeah, we just ran out of steam. We just wanted to do something different. So, and then we went on to form like Wartech straight after that. So yeah.
What's Wartech?
Wartech. So it was me, Steve, Chris, who plays bass in Axegrinder now, and Darren, who plays drums for Axegrinder. It's completely different to Axegrinder. It's like just a complete rip-off of Voivod. I mean, it literally sounds like Voivod. So yeah, we just wanted to do something completely different.
Did you guys release anything?
We've done 2 demos. Yeah, they're on. I'll send them over to you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And when did what year did you guys get back? I never knew you guys get back. I didn't even hear about this.
Oh God, I think we met Darren. So me and Steve got back together a long time ago now. So it was just me and him. We never talked about doing anything live. We were just going to do the album and then sort of disappear again, sort of thing. We had no aspirations to play live really. And then Darren contacted us. We hadn't heard from Darren for maybe 15 years, 20 years maybe. It wasn't on Facebook. He wasn't on any social media. And he just contacted us out of the blue. We met him for a drink, and it was like instantly like old times. And yeah, Chris we'd known. Chris used to support us in a band called DT Warriors back in the 80s. And then Chris was, as I say, in Wartech. So it was a natural thing to ask Chris to come back. Matt, the original bass player, wasn't really interested. He's got his own band, like a ska type band.
Ska? Like that?
Yeah.
Like
ska.
Man?
Yeah, like ska, yeah. Yeah,
wow,
like,
that's a big change.
Like a Trojan, like an old Trojan skinhead type band.
Wow.
Yeah, massive change. Yeah. So he wasn't interested, so we asked Chris, who we knew really well. And then Steve didn't want to do all the guitaring, so we managed to get Phil from a band called Slug, who joined us. And then Debs, Steve's wife, she joined us, so we're a 6-piece. So yeah.
Wait, Steve's wife's in the band?
Yeah. So on Rise, there's lots of like interludes with all the musical bits and like which we'd never been able to do live before. So now we can recreate that all live, which is fantastic. And she's become a real integral part of the band. Yeah, without her now, the songs sound really empty. So all the choir bits at the beginning of Rise, we do all of that live now. All the piano parts we do live, everything.
So yeah, she has a keyboard on stage now when you play live.
She has a sampler, so she hits all the. So yeah, like the bell in Hellstorm, we've got the bells, we got everything. Yeah, it's really good.
I didn't even knew about this. You did a split with Warplay.
Yeah.
When was this? I didn't even know. But what year was this?
It was for a record day. I think probably about 3 months before the album came out. So it's probably 2 or 3 years ago now. Yeah, we were asked to do it by Warplay, and we know Andy. You know, been friends with Andy on Facebook for a long time, and we were really chuffed that he asked us. The track we put out wasn't great in retrospect. We rushed it. It's not a very good representation of where we wanted to be. But yeah, it was good. It was good to just do the first track before we released the album. But yeah, so yeah, we done that, and then we done the a remake of Grind the Enemy track as well for the I don't know if you see it, but the Grenfell Tower that burnt down in the UK with all the yeah. So we done a charity track for that. So that was yeah.
Yes. And before all this pandemic happened, you guys were playing live?
Yeah. We've done quite a few gigs. We've when we were first time around, we never left the UK. So it's second time around, we played Germany, Spain, even Canary Islands, which was fantastic. And we were just about to start in June. We were supposed to start off a North American tour with War Plague. So we're starting in Vancouver and then Seattle, Portland, but obviously that's been all cancelled. So hopefully we can pen that in for next year.
It was a long time ago. My friend played a tape of you playing live. It was VHS. You guys were playing all like.
Oh yeah, that was the Bradford all day. Yeah.
What it was, but you guys all had long hair and you were like banging your head.
Yeah.
Is it weird now because you guys have short hair? You're doing this.
Steve's exactly the same. Steve's still got his dreadlocks and everything, so he's exactly the same. Wow. Yeah. I'm enjoying it the second time round a lot better than the first time round. I think when you're young, everything is about the band, and it's really precious, and relationships can become tense. I think when you're older and you've got family and you've got job, the band's fantastic, but it's just one aspect of your life. It's not everything. It's not the be all and everything. So we can have, we have had frank discussions, and we're all grown up now. Whereas before, I remember, Steve remembers really well that we had a rehearsal and I said, write a fucking song before I come back, and I stormed off. And that's what it used to be like back in the day. Do you know what I mean? But now it's a lot more laid back. We still love doing it, but it's not the be all and end all of our lives. So yeah, Steve's married. I've got children. Darren's got children. Yeah. So yeah, life's a lot different now.
And then you before this happened, you guys were about to tour Canada and US. Am I correct?
That's right. Yeah, with War Plague. Yeah.
Was the tour already set up before this?
Yeah, it was all set up. We started in Vancouver on the 3-day festival that they have up there. I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about on that one.
Yeah, so we were starting off there, and we was going to play Rise of the Serpent Men back to back, the whole album, for that one gig. So we've done it once in the UK. We was going to do it once in America, and then we was going down to Seattle, Portland, and there was someone else in between. But yeah, obviously that's been cancelled because of the COVID. But hopefully we'll do that again soon.
Where in America were you guys about to play? California as well?
No, it was just the north. We stopped at Portland, I think. Yeah, and then then we went back up to Vancouver and was going to fly out. We wanted to play LA. We was asked to play the place. Is it the Regency in LA?
Oh yeah. That place is cool. Doom played there. And
I see the video of Doom playing there. It was amazing. It was packed. It's huge.
How come that didn't happen? I mean,
we got asked, and I lost contact with the guy that was going to put it. I think it was a guy called Brendan maybe, and I lost contact. But we'd still be interested in playing that, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been there?
No. I live in Northern California. I used to live in LA. I have it, but I fly down there on the weekends. On my weekends off. Before this happened, like once a while, like every 3 months, I would just fly down there.
Right, cool.
For the weekend and come back, fly back up here and stuff.
Yeah.
No, my friends always tell me about the shows there, and my friend Austin from 7th Street Punks, once in a while he puts out shows there with friends and stuff.
Yeah. It looks a great venue. It looks an amazing venue. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because back then, even in the 80s, there were shows like that, huh? Doom didn't play huge shows like out in LA.
No, the shows were never like that. Maybe a festival when you've got like a lot of bands, obviously, but nothing. I think the biggest one we ever played was probably with Bolt Thrower, and that was probably 300 people, something like that. But yeah, the gigs were more intimate back then. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. 300 people is a big show.
Yeah, no, back then, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was a big venue and it was packed. Bolt Thrower packed the place out. Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
You got to play when this is all over. You got to play in California. Just
definitely.
Hook up with the good promoter. You would just trip out. You would go, wow.
Yeah, we'd love to. Yeah, we'd absolutely love to.
Yeah, things have changed a lot and stuff. So I'm guessing when this is all over, all the tour and stuff going to get moved to next year. Am I correct?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about redoing the festival next year. So yeah, hopefully while we're over there, we come down that coast, and yeah, we're definitely up for it. Yeah, 100%.
Because of the social media, it's so hard to find out what's going on because there's so many things going on. I can't even keep track.
No,
Then
it's crazy.
I just found out what both doors back together. I was just tripping out on that.
Yeah,
I just found this out. I didn't even know you guys were back together. I didn't even know you guys put out the second album too.
yeah. Things move so fast. I didn't realize, I was just going through the YouTube the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and I see these interviews, and I was like, wow. It's like we just played with Anti-System in Germany, and I see you've done the interview with the guy from Anti-System, and so I was like, how comes I've not seen any of these before? You know what I mean? And now I've sat and looked, watched the Stig one, Steve Ignorant, obviously Iggs, and all that. Yeah, so you're right. Things move so quickly now. It's really like, wow, how did I miss that?
When did you play in Germany? Was this last year or 2 years ago?
No, we played there end of February this year. Yeah, we played a festival. Anti-System headlined on the Friday night, and we headlined on the Saturday night. A fantastic squat, amazing.
I've never been to Germany. How was the scene in Germany?
Oh, it's amazing, absolutely great. Yeah, the place was packed, and the squat was amazing. They had like their own food. Literally, it was brilliant. It was a great weekend. Yeah, we were looked after. Because we're a bit older, we like our sort of creature comforts a little bit more. But the guys were fantastic, and yeah, the scene out there was amazing. I think a lot of people travelled for that actual festival, so I think there was people from like Poland and stuff from all over. Yeah, it was well attended. Yeah, we didn't arrive till Saturday morning, so we missed Anti-System on a Friday night, but apparently they went down fantastic. Quite rightly, they're a great band.
That's very interesting, because in Europe you guys could still do squat shows, but here, due to different culture and stuff in America, we can't do that. Like squat shows will turn on. If we try, people will get arrested. They will get heavy fine if you break into
really?
Your house. I mean, maybe in the old days in LA, the rave and stuff, but they all got busted and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, due to the law and stuff, it's just really hard to do, like impossible to do squat shows.
Yeah, I think the one we played the one in Germany, and we played a place in Barcelona last year, and I think they've been squatted for so long that I think now they've done a deal with the local councils or the local government. So as long as they look after the buildings, they can carry on squatting it, but they have to maintain the building and keep it to a good state of repair. So I think, and I know the one in Barcelona, they run workshops like metalworks and stuff like that, wood carpentry, stuff like that. So I think they've done a deal with the local, rather than letting the building fall down and rot, they maintain it. And the place in Barcelona was fantastic, unbelievable, really good.
So you live in England, right?
Yeah.
Have you been to America before, or?
Only on holiday, only many years ago to Florida and stuff. Yeah, no.
Is the English culture more easy? Is it more easy to live there in England or America? Because I hear like in the old days, punks used to be on dole and stuff. They could live off of dole.
Yeah, I mean, back in the old days, you could live off the dole really easily. Yeah. I'm not so sure now. Obviously, that's many years ago since. I mean, personally, I've not been on the dole that much. I've always tried to work, because I've just got that work ethic. But yeah, no, you could. I mean, especially if you were sharing a squat or we used to share a house in a housing organisation, and we used to have used to put our money in pots, and you could live relatively cheaply, So yeah, I think our rent back in the 80s was like £10 a week or something like that, which was absolutely ridiculous, crazy money, So yeah, you could easily do that back in the 80s.
And tell me about this. I have to show the Instagram followers first. Your side project.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes. What is this, like a new age music or?
No, it's something. I've been doing that since Axegrinder split up the first time round, really. But I've just started to pick it up again now. It's just something that I do in my spare time, just writing. They're not songs; they're just passages of music and stuff. So, yeah, it's very different to what I do in Axegrinder. I think it's good to have that balance of, you know, doing different stuff. So yeah.
That's very interesting. You have all these different backgrounds of music and stuff. That's very, very cool. What do you listen to nowadays? Do you like any of the new bands, or are you listening to more of the old stuff, or what?
I listen to quite a lot of the old stuff still. So Crass, I still listen to quite a lot. Flux. There's a new band from Italy called, I think, Riot City, who I've just been introduced by one of my friends, Lorenzo, who sound like Bad Brains back in the heyday, who are fantastic, absolutely brilliant. I listen to quite a lot of the mainstream heavy bands now, like Tool. Tool's one of my favourite bands. I listen to quite a lot of punk stuff. There's a band called what they call there's a few crust bands that I like. So War Plague I like. Deviated Instinct last release was really good. We played with them late last year, I think. And they were brilliant. They were really, really good. Burning Flag.
Deviated Instinct. Are they still playing the early stuff too?
They do a lot of their early stuff. Yeah.
Are they still good?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're better now this time around than the first time around.
Better now than the 80s.
I personally, I think so. Yeah, they'd probably say different, but they seem to have more of a groove to them. And then like when we played with them last time, I thought they were fantastic. Really, really good. Yeah, really, really good lads as well. Really good guys.
So in England, how have the scene changed from the 80s till now?
I think it's one of the things that me and Steve always laugh about. So one of the big things that happened to us back in the day, so we used to carry our guitars around in like plastic bags or sacks and things like that. And to sum it up, I remember Steve saying, I've got to get a case for my guitar because it's getting smashed to pieces. And I remember we played, I think, Steve will tell me different, but I think it was Birmingham. And it was the first time he'd ever turned up with a guitar case. And he got spat at and called a pop star and a rock star and that kind of stuff.
What, for having a guitar case?
Yeah, for having a guitar case. Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Everyone cares.
That's what it was like, and some very small-minded people. And then when we came back, a couple of years ago, we were like, wow, everyone's using like the latest Marshall. Everyone's using like the latest equipment. All the equipment's up to date. And back in the 80s, you'd literally, as I say, you'd have a guitar in a sack, and you'd plug into some little amp that you could find. Now it's like, wow. Everyone's got the latest equipment, and everything's a lot more fast, more instant, I would say. So, whereas before you'd write a song or you would take you weeks and weeks, and now you can put it out on the internet the same day. There's no, you're in a band, yourself, you can write a song you think it's fantastic that day. And a week later you're listening to it and thinking, God, what is this shit? Why did we write this? Why did we spend all this time on this? You almost had a natural filter before you could put it out. Nowadays you can put it out on the internet that night. Do you know what I mean? So there's no filter for anything anymore. And I think sometimes that's detrimental to the quality of some of the music coming out. So yeah, that's the big difference we've seen. Like Steve always reminds me. He said, "Do you remember when I got spat at and called a pop star?" And it's like, yeah. Now we walk in and like the bands walk in with the latest guitars and like. Yeah, it's crazy.
I heard in the 80s, a couple of my friends went to England in the 80s, and they were saying at a show, the drum set, amp, everything stays. Bands all share everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So nowadays it doesn't happen because everybody has like expensive equipments now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We've done a few gigs. Yeah, right. Everyone's precious about their equipment. I mean, Darren and the guys out of DI, we've shared kits with those and stuff. But we always, change over the cymbals and the snares, the very least. But back in the day, the Cardboard Box festivals, that was Darren's kit, and every band, there was like 15 bands on the bill, and everyone would use Darren's drums, and it was like everyone would use the same amps, everything. So yeah, you just used to get up and just plug in and blast away. Now it's like changeover and yeah.
People get heart attack because equipment was so expensive. They save money, and you know what I mean? Yeah, I can't get my equipment ruined and stuff. Yes, that's the difference from the old days and now. Do people still, the older crowds, do they still come out from the old days, Crust, or do people?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we've still got friends from way back when. So yeah, back in the 80s, there used to be like a little Italian crew, like hardcore crew that used to squat in London. A few of those are still around. So they've come out to some of our gigs. Yeah, we still see a lot of old faces, which is great, fantastic. But it's nice to see a new generation as well, you know. It's me and Steve sort of look at each other. I remember being in Norway many years ago with my daughter. My daughter was about 6 or 7 at the time. And there was this guy in front of us with an axe grinder patch on his back. And my daughter was saying, go and tell him that you're the singer of Axe Grinder. I was like, no, because he look at me and just go, fuck off, Granddad. There's no way that you were the singer of Axe Grinder. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and I remember we went to the Antisect gig, me and Steve, and there was a couple of crusties at the bar. And our friend went up and said, oh, that's the singer and guitarist out of Axe Grinder. And they were like, what, them two old fucking geezers? Are you joking me? That's not the Axe Grinder, you know what I mean? So it's really funny, like, you know, how people, like you said, when you was expecting to see me with dreadlocks and everything, it's like, yeah, it was when I first met Antisect when they came back. I was expecting to see Lippy, like, you know, walking in with all his dreadlocks, and of course, no one looks like that anymore, you know.
I can imagine running into your old friends or like old fans and stuff, and you picturing them with the dreads, but like you can't even recognize now because it's been many years. People got older, clean hair.
Exactly. Yeah. We've still got a few friends that've got the dreadlocks and everything. Yeah. But yeah.
Long time ago, I was reading Stephen or Crass interview.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Well, after Crass, he was saying like some of the old fans like got good jobs, and he even met someone who's a doctor now. So out of some of your old fans, did anybody become fucking rich or like work for a huge corporate or anything?
No, not that I know of, unless some of the band members are not telling me anything. No. I'm
just wondering.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anyone within our circle that's no. No, there was a few people back in the day that used to pretend they were like poor, you know, and then used to run home to their rich mum and dads at the weekends and stuff like that. That was a crazy situation, yeah. But no, I don't think so. We're all pretty got normal jobs.
The reason I'm asking this, because you know, when time goes by, when people do good in life, so they give the other friends jobs and stuff. Yeah, I could. Yeah. Long time ago, actually, my friend did that too, because
that's brilliant.
I wasn't doing good, so some of friends got better careers, so they gave me a job long time ago and made my life better. So I was just wondering.
No, I've been lucky enough in that respect. I've had a few jobs where I've managed to give jobs to other people, so that's always good.
The funny thing is, I could never picture that in the 80s. If I saw your picture and all the crusties and stuff, I was thinking, I can't picture having them a job with all that, or even having a career or anything. Just
I used to be a funny story. I used to work at Buckingham Palace, and that's when I used to have all the dreadlocks and all of that. So yeah.
What's Buckingham Palace? What's that?
Buckingham Palace, where the Queen lives in London.
Oh, with the hair like that?
Yeah.
Did you have to put it in a ponytail?
No.
Bun? Wrap it?
No, just you turn up to work. Yeah, all in black, dreadlocks, everything. Yeah, I used to do the gardens and the landscaping at Buckingham Palace. So yeah, so I used to mix with the police and everyone and the soldiers and everyone. No one gave me any grief at all.
Wow, that's interesting. So what part of England do you live in?
So I live about 40 miles north of London, a place called Hertfordshire, out in the country. I live literally in the little village. There's about 6 or 7 houses. Yeah, that's
a little village and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering because I'm reading all this stuff because I subscribe to Veg News magazine. It's a glossy color Veg News magazine. They did this article about London. Is it true like London has a lot of vegan restaurants and stuff now?
A lot of what? Sorry, restaurants?
Vegan restaurants, like
I mean, lots of areas that used to be run down, like places like Hackney and Stoke Newington, which was a lot of squats around them area. They've really become gentrified, and there's lots of like coffee bars and vegan restaurants and that popping up all over the place. Yeah, which again is great, you know, but the problem is the local people that were born and bred there, they can't afford to live in those areas anymore, so they're being forced out into different areas, you know. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? So yeah. So
does that mean those vegan restaurants are very expensive, the menu and stuff, the food?
I mean, I don't, to be honest, I don't go into London that much. I come down for work, and then I sort of like, London was great when I was young. Loved London when I was young. At my age, I sort of come down for work and then literally get on the motorway and go back up. So I don't visit London very much, but yeah, I should imagine some of the ones in the gentrified areas would be expensive. Yeah, definitely.
Have you been to any of the Veg Fest or anything in London?
No, I haven't. No, to be honest, working in this industry, so it just, at the end of the day, you know, we've had some bands play here that I love, you know, and I go and I say, well, I'm staying tonight and I'm going to watch this band, and I watch the sound check and I end up going home. So it spoils your enjoyment of live music a little bit, you know. But saying that, I've seen some bands that I would never ever go and see in my life, and have walked away thinking, my God, that was fantastic, you know. So like, even if you don't like the music, you can appreciate, you know, the talent and the skill behind it, you know.
So you work like 40 hours full time, 40 hours a week then, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a short week, 40 hours, yeah.
So what does it do? Work just takes all your energy out or something?
Yeah, so it's quite a full-on job, obviously, because we have the concerts at night. So we stay to do a lot of the concerts. And then I'm separated, so I have my children at the weekends. So, you know, I don't get much free time, really. My children are sort of growing up now, so I'm getting a little bit back. But, you know, the last 10 years I've been bringing up the kids. So, yeah, which is, you know, you only get a little window with your children before they want to go off and do their own thing. So, you know, which has been fantastic. So it's good to see them gaining confidence and wanting to go off and make their own way in the world. So, yeah.
All right. Before we end this interview, I wanted to know, how do you have enough time to do the band and tour then, with all the work and the family?
I think that's a good question, a really good question. I mean, back in the day, you should just go, shall we rehearse on Saturday? Yeah, okay. And that was it, you know what I mean? And now we have to sort of plan in advance. So, you know, some of us got children, so we have to get, you know, making sure our partners can look after the children while we're away and stuff. We all live in different parts of the country as well. Chris, the bass player, lives about 400 miles away, you know, so that, you know, Darren, the drummer, lives 100 miles away from each other. So it's quite difficult, but we love doing it, so we make the time for it, you know. And I think the first time we rehearsed after like 30 odd years, we just looked at each other and we were like smiling, like we couldn't believe it, you know. I mean, it just felt so natural again. So, you know, and I suppose the answer to that, we make the time because we've met so many fantastic people over the last few years. You know what I mean? We've just met brilliant people that have just gone out of their way to, you know, to put gigs on for us, look after us, you know, everything. So that's why we do it. Yeah. Wow,
that's really cool. Hey, also, do you have any last comment?
No, just to say thank you for doing this. It's been a real joy. Thanks for it, and keep up the interviews with people. They're really interesting. Like, I look forward to seeing the next one. I don't think I'll be watching this one, but I'll definitely watch your next one.
You gave me the idea about interviewing Scruff from Hellbastard, so we're coming.
Yeah, and do Rob from Deviated Instinct as well. Yeah.
All right, definitely. But Scruff, we're talking now. Then later on, we're gonna get the date. It's because thank you for that. Thank you for that.
That's all right. You're welcome. Yeah, no worries.
But last comment before we leave.
Yeah.
So your music expanded. You're doing your own project and doing different things. I want to ask you this. I'm still stuck at the same thing. What advice would you give me so I could expand like you did?
You'll just get to the point where you want to do it naturally. If you force it, then it won't happen, you know. So as I say, I done the TGSV's the world thing 20 years ago, and then I left it because I just didn't feel right. And then it just came, you know, I felt that urge. So I do a lot of writing as well. I'm in the middle of writing a book, you know. And so the advice is just, it will happen naturally. You'll know when you want to move on or do something different or stuff like that. And yeah, don't beat yourself up about it. About, you know, if you're happy doing what you're doing at the moment, fantastic. You'll know the time is right for you to go and deviate off and do something else. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you for the advice. Because a lot of my friends too, they expand their music and they went different ways. And I was thinking, fuck, I'm still fucking crimping hair sometimes and all that.
Yeah, but the question is, does that make you happy?
Yes, it does.
That's all that matters then. As long as you're happy and you're not harming anyone else.
Right,
that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Cool. Thank you for the cool life advice. And I hope all your thing goes cool when this is all over.
No worries.
With the band and stuff.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go on and check out the new stuff and everything.
Cool.
And the split with the War Plague and stuff. It's just crazy because now we have online. I could just type it and just listen to it right away.
Exactly.
You know, and camp it, everything. Also, good luck on your book.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everything. Thanks for doing this. Very cool. That's cool. Yeah.
I shirt and stuff. All right.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jay. Take care, man. Stay safe.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.